All right, we're live from Georgia, and this is the debut of the Midnight Blitz Scoreboard show. Actually, it's the first show since the end of the 2017 season. I'm your host, Walter Johnson, and the revival of the Midnight Blitz Scoreboard show. Each week, or each weekend, after every Friday night game, you'll hear final scores of your favorite high school football team anywhere in the state of Georgia. Actually Southwest Georgia, within the Southwest Georgia network coverage area. Say about Sumter, Crisp counties, to the Florida border north to south, to Irwin, to Ben Hill, Irwin, Berrien, Lanier, and Lowndes counties, all the way to the Alabama border, east to west. And obviously a lot to talk about in the first games of the 2020 season. So lots to talk about. Let's get started. Before getting started, in case of course, for those people that haven't heard, and for those people that missed the news, and the Georgia high school football community lost one of its legends in Tommy Palmer, who passed away late Thursday night at a hospice in Sylvania, Georgia, located roughly halfway between Augusta and Savannah, East Central Georgia, on the South Carolina border. And for those people that don't know, Tommy Palmer was a longtime host of the Georgia High School Scoreboard radio show, and he's actually associated with the show for the past 18 years, and the last 15 as the host, and for all 15 of those years, I was the Southwest Georgia correspondent for the show, and delivering the final scores to high school football fans not only in Southwest Georgia but all over Georgia, the United States, and the entire world. And to say that Tommy Palmer will be missed is a definite understatement. And there's no word on when a memorial service will be held, but I'm sure, obviously because of the coronavirus and all the social distancing and everything. But again, Tommy Palmer will be missed. Will be missed tremendously. And having said that, it's time to get to work on the final scores for this week. And the debut show for the 2020 season, the Midnight Blitz Scoreboard show. So, one of the top games in the state this week took place down at Bazemore Harder Stadium, Cleveland Field in Valdosta, as the Valdosta Wildcats began the season as the number one ranked team in all of Class 6A. Played host to the Warner Robins Demons, who finished the season as the runners-up in Class 5A the past 3 years. And it was a really tight game from start to finish. And anyone that managed to watch the game online or listen on the radio obviously saw one of the best games played so far this year. And Valdosta trailed for most of the contest. Trailed, and at one point they trailed 13-0 and 19-10. But to the Wildcats' credit, they managed to fight back They finally took the lead, and then took the lead 17-13. Was it like 19 to lead? And I think they finally took the lead at one point. And then it was a back and forth game, and Warner Robins led 25-17 in the fourth quarter. And I think a big missed extra point spelled doom for the Demons. And Valdosta came right back, scored a touchdown, and made the 2-point conversion. And it was a big 2-point conversion at that. And the game now allowed the Wildcats to tie the game at 25-all. And then the final possession of the game, Angel Martinez gave Valdosta its first and only lead of the contest, 28-25, just 25 seconds ago, and the Demons had one last chance to win with no timeouts remaining. But time ran out on the Demons, and the final score, Valdosta 28, Warner Robins 25, and Valdosta goes to win on the season. And former Colquitt County head coach Rush Probst wins his debut as the Wildcats head coach, moving to 1-0 on the season. And next week, the Wildcats will face the Tiffin County Blue Devils in another non-region contest, the first of 7. And that assumes, of course, the Cats is weather permitting and COVID-19 permitting. And of course, it's important to remember that we're in the middle of a pandemic. So a lot of things can change between now and next week. And the Colquitt County, keep in mind the Colquitt County Packers have already lost their first 2 games due to multiple players testing positive for the virus. And the Packers were supposed to open the season up in Marietta against the Marietta Blue Devils in the Metro Atlanta area. Marietta, the defending state champions in Class 7A, knocked off Lowndes. And last year's state title game just turned out to be the final game for Randy McPherson as the Vikings head coach. And more on the Lowndes game against Archer in the Corky Care Classic later in this show. And once again, Valdosta defeated Warner Robins. Final score 28-25. And moving right along, and Valdosta's next opponent will be the Tiffin County Blue Devils. And the Tiffin County Blue Devils, under head coach Ashley Anderson, opened the season just up by 75 in Cordele, Georgia, against the Crisp County Cougars, who were the runners-up in Class AAA last season. And it was a mostly defensive struggle, and from start to finish. And in the end, it was Crisp County outlasting Tiffin County 7-0. And the Cougars begin the 2020 season on a winning note, going to 1-0 on the year. And Tiffin County falls to 0-1 on the year. And the Blue Devils will be at home against Valdosta next week. So the first of many, hopefully be many games for the Blue Devils program. A lot of tough games. And another thing to keep in mind, both Region 17A and 16A have just 4 teams in the mix. So that means the Georgia High School Association has eliminated its power rating system. And which meant in 4-team leagues like 17A, Region 17A, and Region 16A, and the top 3 teams were guaranteed playoff berths. Yeah, with the 4th spot being in that large bid to the postseason play. So basically, whoever finished 4th in Region 17A the past several years, was thrown into a pool of 5th place teams from Regions 2 through 8, and that team and whoever had the highest power rating among that group of teams will get that at-large bid. And Tift County managed to barely make the playoffs as an at-large team. I think it got to the 3rd round that season, but lost in the 3rd round, and Tift County fell short of playoffs last year, going 3-7 after an 8-5 mark the year before, and got to the 3rd round. Tift County got to the 3rd round, losing a close game at Archer to finish the season at 8-5 overall. And again, speaking of Archer, you got they'll be playing host to Lowndes on the final day of the Corky Kell Classic. That's later today at 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Saturday, September 5th. And go ahead and move right along. And close to home here in Albany, the Deerfield Windsor Knights made their GHSA debut, taking on the Schley County Wildcats out of Ellaville, Georgia, at least a couple of hours north of Albany along US Highway 19. And that was a seesaw battle at Webb Memorial Stadium between the Knights and Schley County Wildcats. And the Knights trailed 13-0. And only the Rams take a 14-13 lead, and then Schley County took the lead early in the 4th quarter. We took the lead early in the 4th quarter on a field goal, and then in the end, Schley County pulled away for a 29-21 victory to go to 1-0 on the season. And Deerfield Windsor Knights, on the other hand, despite a valiant effort, and especially during the second half, and they fall to 0-1, and the Knights begin the Jake McCray and the GHSA area on a losing note, and falling to 0-1, and obviously a long journey ahead for the Knights. And next up for Deerfield Windsor, next up for the Knights. And next up for the Knights, and they'll be on the road down in Colquitt, Georgia, to take on the Miller County Pirates. And just like the Knights started their season on a losing note as Chattahoochee County made the trip down to Colquitt and crushed the Pirates 34-6. And Miller County, just like Deerfield, will starting the season 0-1 on the year. So pretty long road ahead for the Deerfield Windsor Knights and head coach Jake McCray. And And if when you get the chance, check out this past week's episode at the High School Football Roundup podcast on the Southwest Georgia Network at southwestgeorgianetwork.com. Also follow on Twitter at SWJ Network, and there you'll hear both hear my interview with not only with the new head coach for the Knights, Jake McCray, but also former Deerfield Windsor head coach, now head of school, Alan Lowe, and a very good perspective on not only the Deerfield Windsor making the move to the GHSA, but also in learning how virtual learning works. And during the interview with Alan Lowe, and you see in Deerfield Windsor obviously has a tough schedule ahead. And after the tough loss to Chi County, they can hit the Miller County next week, and then be on the road the following week, September 18th, and against Southland Academy. And that's an away game for the Knights. And then the Knights will wrap up September, be on the road again, opening GHSA Region 1 Single A private play against Tatnall Square, one of Deerfield's old rivals for the GISA days. So it'll be interesting to see how this Deerfield Windsor team fares going forward throughout the 2020 season. And going to move right along. Got some other scores from other games. And just go through some of those. And in the GHSA, and probably one of the shockers of the night took place down in Cairo, Georgia, where the Region 1-4A Cairo Syrup Makers took on Region 1AA Fitzgerald Purple Hurricanes. And the first meeting between those two teams since way back in 2003. 2003, I mean, didn't seem like that long ago. Those two teams squared off on the football field. I mean, talking about two true blue bloods in South Georgia football. And the Cairo Syrup Makers, Fitzgerald Purple Hurricanes. And the team's first meeting was way back in 1930. Well before the Great Depression, of course. And then the two teams hadn't played each other since 2003. And Fitzgerald hadn't beaten Cairo since way back in 1980. And then in that game, went from start to finish. And that game was well played from start to finish. And in the end, it was the Purple Hurricanes knocking off the Syrup Makers 21-17. Huge win for Fitzgerald. And a big non-region win to start things off. And Fitzgerald going to 1-0 on the season. And next up for the Purple Hurricanes. Next up for home game against the defending state champions in Class Single A Public in Irwin County. And Irwin County was supposed to open the season against the ELCA or ELCA, Eagles Landing Christian Academy out of McDonough, Georgia, the defending Class Single A private school state champions. And the game between ELCA and Irwin was supposed to have been a battle between defending state champions at the Class Single A level. But of course, because of the coronavirus and multiple players on the Irwin County squad tested positive for the coronavirus, and that game was canceled. And of course, Colquitt County's game. No, it was Colquitt County's game at defending Class 7A state champion Mario was canceled. Not only was that game canceled, and the game against Brookwood, was supposed to have been played next week, was called off as well. And Fitzgerald will open the season against Irwin County, the defending Class Single A Public School state champions again. And like I said earlier, that's dependent upon COVID-19 and whether or not those players are sufficiently recovered from the virus in time for kickoff next week. So, I said this before in past episodes of the High School Football Roundup podcast, that it wouldn't surprise me if most teams from our area were able to get in as many games as they can, and either try to there'll be a lot of games that either be rescheduled after being postponed or just outright canceled. So once again, Fitzgerald beats Cairo and a bit of a stunner in the Class AA team. Fitzgerald knocking out the Class 4A team in Cairo 21-17, I think. And one of the things we learned is, classifications really don't matter. And seeing Cairo will face Brooks County next week. And the serve makers of head coach Steve Dvorsny will try to bounce back after that tough loss. And that's a road game and the game against Brooks County would be a road game for the serve makers. And and Brooks County was the state runners-up in Class AA. And Brooks County Trojans out of Quitman, Georgia, were the state runners-up in Class Single A. But and losing to Dublin, and both Brooks and Dublin dropped down to Class Single A Public, and they're in their most recent reclassification. So Cairo has a tough schedule themselves, and after next week's game at Brooks County, they're back home against Thomasville, and then go to Dothan, Alabama, and then play at Pelham for opening region play against the Bainbridge Bearcats in Bainbridge. And speaking of Brooks and Thomasville, those two teams squared off in Quitman, and the Trojans knocked off the Bulldogs 20-14, and Brooks County jumped out to a quick 2-score lead, and then just held on to beat the Bulldogs. And this is kind of a bittersweet win for Brooks County, and that was because one of the top players, Cinquez Perry, Cinquez spelled Cenquez, was shot and killed while he was sleeping at home. While he was asleep at home, and I think it was about a week ago. And obviously, very tragic situation. So that whole Brooks County team played with heavy hearts. And once again, the final score, Brooks County over Thomasville, 20-14. And looking through some other scores, and Berrien out of Region 1AA, getting the season off on a winning note as they beat Long County over in southeast Georgia in the town of Ludowici, spelled Ludowicici. Final score 41-21 Berrien. And also another team in Region 1AA, the Cook Hornets, traveled east to Waycross, Georgia to take on the Ware County Gators one of 5 teams in Region 1 5A, and Ware County won easily, 38-6. And Cook drops to 0-1 on the season. And the Hornets also have a challenging early season schedule. And Cook drops to 0-1 with a loss, and doesn't get any easier. And the Hornets will be at home. The Cook Hornets will be at home next week, taking on another team of Hornets in the Pelham Hornets. And Pelham Hornets were scheduled to open the season on Friday night. Last night against the Mitchell County Eagles, but problems with the irrigation or the water system at Pelham Stadium, and caused the game to be moved to Centennial Field just up the road in Camilla. And should really be a good game. Mitchell County and Pelham. And in past seasons, Mitchell County and Pelham usually ended the season playing against each other, but the way the schedule worked out, those two teams will play against each other. And looking forward to one of the top games in our area. Open this 2020 season. And elsewhere, in Lakeland, Georgia, it was the Lair County Bulldogs winning over Trutland 30-6. And up the road in Ashburn, Turner County was a 35-21 winner over Worth County, the Worth County Rams. And debuted Worth County Rams were among quite a few teams that debuted new head coaches. And Philip Ironside, who came to South Georgia from Hillgrove High School up in the Metro Atlanta area, one of many Class A schools in the Metro Atlanta area. And under Ironside under Ironside's leadership, Hillgrove was a perennial playoff contender. But here at Worth County, and Ironside's debut as a Southwest Georgia head coach ends in defeat, losing 35-21 to Turner County up in Ashburn. And obviously, of course, doesn't get any easier. And the Rams are back on the road next week. You're going down the road to Camilla to face Mitchell County. And then they'll head to Macon after a bye week, facing Rutland. And after another bye week, the Rams won't be at home until October 9th to take on the Tiffin County Blue Devils. So the Rams will be, obviously the Rams will be logging those miles on the bus, while also trying to social distance and deal with this coronavirus as best they can. And seeing to wrap things up, and here's some final scores for the GISA this week. Well, before we get to the GISA, how about another score between a team from Class AA and Class A Public in the form of the Class AA Early County Bobcats and Seminole County from Class A Public. And it was all Early County to open things up. as they beat as they shut out Seminole County all the way down in Donaldsonville, Georgia. And Prince Early County at 1-0. Let's see. I think the schedule's a little bit off. Let's see. Early County is at home against Pelham next week. It'll be the home opener for the Bobcats and head coach Joel Harvin. It'll be interesting to see how that team fares. And Pelham begins the season with 4 straight road wins. So let's see. And the game between Cook and Pelham down in Pelham won't be until the 18th of September, Friday, September 18th. So Cook actually has a bye next week before they open their home schedule against Pelham, the Battle of the Hornets. And I think head coach Jamie Rogers and his Chargers at Cook could use that time off. And Ware County, as mentioned earlier, rolled to an easy 38-6 win over Cook. 38-6 in the 38-6 victory. Cook over as Cook getting crushed at Ware County. So Ware County with the easy victory, 38-6. And I see Flint River played against Patola Charter. And we're in Edison, Georgia, in Calhoun County. And Calhoun County and Patola Charter. And not too far from Calhoun County. And unlike their foes at Calhoun County, Patola Charter has decided to play it out. And of course, Calhoun County was among multiple teams, and 10 teams around the state that decided to just go ahead and cancel the season rather than risk multiple players getting hurt or worse. Come down with the coronavirus. So he decided to cancel the season. And Patola Charter, on the other hand, decided they're going to push through. And unfortunately, there's no final score for that game. If there is, you'll be able to find it on the Week 1 scoreboard. And you'll find your final scores for your favorite teams at SouthwestGeorgiaNetwork.com and on Twitter at SWJ Network. So it'll be interesting to see how things develop throughout this 2020 campaign. And go ahead and wrap things up. In the GISA scores, and Valwood from Valdosta won easily over Georgia Christian, 51-8 the final score. And Terrell County, thanks to a field goal, made that the Terrell Academy Eagles up in Dawson. And thanks to a field goal in overtime, broke a 10-all tie and defeated the Southland Academy Golden Raiders 13-10. And that's the final score there. And the Southwest Georgia Academy Warriors lost a heartbreaker to Macon East Montgomery out of Alabama. And really, and the Warrior and SGA put up a pretty good fight, but unfortunately, they're unable to leave with a victory. going to 0-1. And Covenant Academy took on Crisp Academy just off Highway 300, just southwest of Cordeo. Unfortunately, there's no game, no final score for that one. And lastly, the Westwood Wildcats from Camilla pitched a shutout over Southern Prep. Final score 36-0. So, thinking is just sum it up. I think some of the things I think we learned from this first week of the season. I think one thing is, classifications are just really meaningless, and especially in Fitzgerald winning its first game over Cairo in 40 years since way back in 1980 when Jimmy Carter was president back in the day. And obviously a tremendous win for the Purple Hurricanes. And a win like that, could set the tone. A win like that could just really and truly set the tone for this Purple Hurricanes team down the road. Especially for a team that's expected to be the best, among the best in Class AA this season. And winning a game like this could serve as a confidence builder for Fitzgerald. Especially in a region as tough as 1AA. And you got Thomasville, state semifinalist from a year ago, losing to eventual state champion Dublin. And Dublin, as well as Brooks, both dropped down to Class Single A Public. And then and Cook, and coming down from Class AAA. And even though they were absolutely crushed by Ware County, it'll be interesting to see what that team can do in Early County, pitching a shutout down the road against their arch rivals from Seminole County. That's going to be good. That's going to give us something to look forward to for the Bobcats. And also Turner County knocking off Worth County, the Single A squad, and Turner County over the AA squad in Worth County. And Philip Ironside, obviously, will have his work cut out for him, trying to rebuild a struggling Worth County program that struggled to just to get wins over these past several years. Last postseason appearance was in around 2016. And got to the second round. It'll be interesting to see how this Worth County team will fare. And you see, Worth County finished 7-5 in 2016. Managed to get to the second round of the state playoffs, losing to Greater Atlanta Christian 34-21, and that was back on November 18th, 2016, second round of state playoffs. And then and the wins have been few and far between for the Rams since then, winning just 3 games combined, winless in 2017 in the early season under then head coach Ben Simmons, and then Frankie Carroll took over as the interim head coach, and he's now the athletics director at Worth County High School. Rams went under Carroll. The Rams went 1-9 in 2018 and 2-8 in 2019, and it'll be, and I think And I think this is a game that Worth County could build on going forward. I mean, even in defeat, you always try to look for a silver lining. And the Rams, it doesn't get any easier for the Rams, and traveling to Mitchell County. I think another thing I learned, or another thing we learned or should learn in week 2, I think in Valdosta, beating Warner Robins, and obviously, even though they struggled for most of that game and trailed for most of the game, and this Valdosta team, and pushed through it, and got the job done when he had to get it done, and just pulled through in the end. And a lot of teams, and when you fall behind, the way Valdosta did, especially against a good team like Warner Robins, who's reached a championship game in Class 5A the last 3 years. This wasn't a slouch team that Valdosta played. One of the best games of the year, and it'll be interesting to see how Valdosta will fare under Rush Probst, especially with their transfer quarterback from California, Jake Garcia, who already enrolled at the University of Southern California, or USC, and it took a while for Garcia to get used to playing high school football here in Georgia as opposed to his home state of California, trying to just get acclimated to to the heat here in Georgia. And the reason why Garcia transferred to Valdosta, South Georgia, came to South Georgia, Southern California, because California's high school football season's been postponed until winter, and by then Garcia will roll at Southern Cal. And lastly, I think the third most important thing that I and anyone else that's listening learned or should learn from this first week, and we just have to be grateful that football's even started. Grateful that many of us are even playing. Many people that high school football is even being played. See, since when the original schedules were first announced back in April, and I think the big thought was, will even make it to, say, beginning of August, much as August 21st, then on July 20th of this year, and the Georgia High School Association's Board of Trustees voted unanimously 12-0 to push back the start of the season a couple of weeks from August 21st to September 4th. And it seemed like that was the right decision. Bottom line is, we should be grateful to even have football at this point. And one last thing before signing off. Lowndes taking on Archer. Debut, once again, it's the debut for Lowndes head coach Jamie DeBose, taking on the Archer Tigers up in Lawrenceville, Georgia, Gwinnett County, and another one of those Metro Atlanta teams. So, Lowndes will be playing that tough schedule. And Lions will be playing that tough schedule forward. And that starts with that game against Archer in the Corky Cal Classic. And for so many years, Corky Cal Classic was played in the Georgia Dome. And then he played for 1 year. I think he played about 1, maybe 2 years in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I think some games were played at the former Georgia State Stadium, not too far from the home of the Georgia State University Panthers, not too far from the Georgia Dome, or what used to be the Georgia Dome, and now. Or how about Mercedes-Benz Stadium? And of course, the dome's no more. It was demolished at the end of the 2016 season. But in any case, the Lions will face Archer, and Lions won't be facing any slouches themselves. Only opening against Archer, and hosting Griffin in their home opener the following week. And the Griffin Bears. I mean, that's going to be a tremendous test there. Then home against Oakleaf out of Orange Park, Florida, outside of Jacksonville. Then on September 25th, the Lee County Trojans will pay a visit to the Concrete Palace in non-region contest, home against Alcovey. And on the 23rd, taking on Mitchell County. And one of those games on October 23rd, one of those games that open up in the schedule after so many games were canceled. And then the Region 1 7A schedule, home against Tift County on the October 30th, out with Colquitt County on November 6th in Moultrie. Hopefully by then, the Packers will be fully recovered from COVID-19 and well rested. And Camden County at home on Friday the 13th. But it all starts with Archer for the Lions Vikings and new head coach Jamie DeVos later today on Saturday, September 5th, close out the Corky Cal Classic. I think it's like the last game for September 5th. Of course, Mitchell County and Pelham playing in Camilla later that night. And Pelham will be designated as the home team on the scoreboard. So on that note, that's going to do it for this edition of the Midnight Blitz Scoreboard Show. And coming up after the Labor Day weekend, and it's the High School Football Roundup podcast, and even more of a recap on the first week of action, and looking forward and looking ahead to week 2, and then and what's expected to be an abnormal season of high school football here in Southwest Georgia and South Central Georgia to a lesser extent. Again, that's going to wrap things up. I do thank you for listening, and if you missed the live show, and you can listen to the podcast and listen to the replay of this stream in the form of a podcast. All audio at southwestgeorgianetwork.com and on Twitter at SWJ Network. And that's all the time I have for for the Midnight Blitz Scoreboard Show for Saturday, September 5th, 2020. Again, thank you for listening. Stay safe out there. wash your hands, wear a mask, and do all those other things to keep you away from the coronavirus. God bless you. Have a good Labor Day weekend, and goodbye.